right, so let's come into a comfortable seated position. It's helpful to move the flesh from the sit bones so you can sit tall. Place the backs of the hands on the knees. And just close the eyes. And just begin to find that space on your mat, place of tranquility and peace. The familiarity of all the moments you've had here. And perhaps feel the physical body soften as you move deeper into that familiarity. And as you feel, first the skin begin to relax, and then the muscles and the fascia. Feeling any tension or gripping begin to release. Sometimes in the big muscles first, the more obvious ones like the shoulder or neck. Sometimes heaviness through the legs or the hips. But then also the subtle muscles, more in the face, those tiny muscles around the eyes and the jaw. And as you continue to relax, you may begin to feel more attention being drawn to the breath. And we'll watch that rise and fall of the abdomen. Just a peaceful, easy inhalation, peaceful, easy exhalation. And really begin to create what we call circular breathing. So that means the inhale flows right into the exhale, flowing right into the inhale. And so there's no interruptions. We reduce any pauses or drive or desire to pause. We reduce any hiccups or jumps or catches in the breath and try to really smooth out that circuit. So the inhalation and exhalation are equal and very smooth. And at first it might feel a little awkward, particularly if you are finding that you have a preference of one part of the breath over another, or if you have been having a preference towards some of the pauses or kumbhakas. So not performing that can sometimes feel a little bit disjointed, but we wish to create a familiarity with smooth breathing, or sometimes it's called pure breathing. That this can become our comfort level as well. And so when I think about the flow of the circuit, I think about that quality of water. You know, in a constant state of movement and flow. And see if you can create that same quality within your own breath. And this is very much tied to the life-death-life cycle, where we find a portion of our time is in that new birth, that beginning, and a significant portion of our time is given to that full life expression. And then there's the part of our life where we begin to release and let go. And whether this is our long life cycle or many forms of this throughout our whole life. So even childhood into teenagehood, into young adulthood, into adulthood, and then into old age. Or even a project we might be working on. The beginning, excitement of the idea as it comes in, the work to begin manifesting it, the actual realization of it, the manifestation of it, and then the need for it to no longer be there or to be prominent in our life. Maybe we move on to something else, or it, whatever it might be, begins to disintegrate, returning back to the ether with which it came, so that something new can be born again. So there's very much this relationship to this flow that we can tap into not only in our breath, but also in our physical body and our practice. And this is really the draw, I think, for many of us who practice Vinyasa yoga. So after you've been breathing here in the abdomen for a little bit, let's take that into a little bit of a deeper cycle. So we'll inhale into the belly first. Now feel the rib cage expand, and then exhale the abdomen towards the back body and feel the rib cage come closer together. So it's kind of this two-part breath as you're continuing pure breathing. Belly, ribs on inhalation, exhale, belly, ribs, and just continuing that cycle, inhaling, exhaling. Take all strain out of the practice. And then after that two-part, you can grow it a little bit more. So now belly, ribs, chest, that full expression, and then exhale, belly first, then rib cage. Chest is the last thing to release. And continue this. And there's subtleties within this practice itself, so that as you feel the inhalation expanding into the heart, there's a reduction of that thoracic curve, which helps to straighten out the spine. And then on the exhalation, as we pull the abdomen in and up, there's a reduction of the lumbar curve, which helps also to straighten out the spine. And so we begin to find more and more room for growth within the process. Now with the abundance of water we're experiencing here, just beginning to use that element in our practice today. So recognizing some of the attributes of water, just the ability to nourish all life on the planet. We already talked about the quality of flow and this element of sort of consistency. But water is also dense, and it really keeps us anchored to this planet, anchored to these physical forms. Water can wash away that which needs to be renewed. And it can also move through rock. If we think about waterfalls and how over time the most amazing, miraculous carvings like the Grand Canyon were made from the movement of water. And so there's a patience to the practice with water. And even our emotions, so emotions that come in, they kind of rise and peak and fall away, a very similar watery type quality for many of us. And sometimes they even elicit tears. As we know, tears are antibacterial, and they have the ability to clean. So there's a purification that can happen just from grieving and crying. So we're going to work with water in our practice today, and the Sanskrit term for that is jalam, sometimes jala. So we're going to be using a chant in the practice, and it's Om Jalayam Namaha. Om Jalaya Namaha. And we're going to be working with that as we flow in our practice today. So let's bring our hands together in front of our heart. Just bow your head to your hands and think about something in your life right now that's maybe asking for you to let go a little bit and let the current take you. Or maybe calling forward some of this water element, the moisture, the nourishment in an area that may need it. So make this intention a little more personal to you. And And then place this here in your heart and really surround it with this loving kindness. And sometimes we have such high expectations for ourselves that we can get down on ourselves quite quickly. So this quality of loving kindness around this practice today. And then we're just going to begin with the chant of Om. Remember, there's 3 parts, the A, O, and but technically there's 4. And there's a moment at the end of the where we're in silence. And this is really the transcendence piece. So let's bring that in 3 times. Deep inhale in. And a long exhale out. So emptying the lungs. Again, another deep inhale in, that pure breathing. And then just bow your head to your hands. And just slowly open your eyes and bring yourself back into the room. So we're going to open the hips a little bit right away to start here. So the water element is very closely related to the sacral area. So we can start here in Sukhasana, but if you're comfortable, you can take one foot, preferably starting with the right, grab it on the inside or the underside of the foot and bring it into the crease of the left hip and thigh. And as long as that's not uncomfortable for anybody, you can stay in that position. So inhale, the arms are going to reach up. And then exhale, we're going to forward fold through the legs and just soften down for a moment. Hands to the ground, head and neck is released. Push down into the earth and draw a little bit of the weight back into the sit bones, lengthening the lower back. And breathe deeply here, returning to that smooth breathing. Inhale, flowing into exhale, flowing into inhale with no interruption. Keep releasing tension from the body as you let go during exhalation. Keep finding just a little more space in the spine and in the vertebrae here to create length on inhalation. And let that current of the breath move through the spine so that we're not rigid in the posture, but there's a softness that allows the breath to move us. And then we'll walk our hands over to the right side and square our chest to our right thigh and press the hands back down into the earth. Head and neck is released. So left sit bone anchors firmly into the floor. Feel that space there open up between the hip and the low rib. And watch the tendency to want to grip the shoulders, so keep the left shoulder just as relaxed as the right. And even here too, find the inhalation creating a little subtle room, easing some pressure off the discs. The exhalation, softening you further into that experience. And then walk back to center. And when you come back to center, press down through the sit bones, bring both arms up and over the head, circle them all the way behind you. And then point your fingertips towards your hips, and now just lift your sternum. Keep the hips grounded. Just allow the heart to extend up towards the ceiling as you anchor through the hands. Feel that stretch there for the wrists, opening through the arms. One more full breath here. And then roll off the fingertips, sit tall again, and just experience. We're going to switch our legs. If you were in half lotus, we'll take the outside of the left foot into the crease of the right hip and thigh. Make sure you feel comfortable in that position. And once again, we're going to inhale, the arms reach up. And then exhale, forward fold, straight through the center to start. Let the arms extend forward, head and neck is relaxed. So there's a lot of space to be had there, not only in the spine, but also in the hip. There's a lot of muscles that come together, a lot of connective tissue to make the hip very secure and stable. And so we want to keep space there. We want to keep flexibility in those muscles so that the joint itself can move in the directions, all the amazing directions the ball and socket can do, without tension, without any kind of pain. So keep relaxing here, make the spine long, and settle a little deeper into the sensation, and maybe notice, did the right hip feel a little tighter than the left, or vice versa? Keep relaxing. Good, one more. See if you can settle in just a little bit more. And then move to your left side. Square to that left thigh, and once again walk the hands out. Ground the palms deeply into the earth. Head and neck is released. And as you breathe here, keep anchoring that right hip down. So again, space between the hip and the low rib. Soften the tops of the shoulders. And sometimes when the sensation's intense, we have this tendency to grip or hold. But see if you can allow the breath to flow through you so that there's some lifting or lengthening on the inhalation, a little bit more softening on the exhalation. And so even on the outside, it might not look like movement, but internally you feel it. One more full breath here. And then slowly walk back to center again. Take a moment to press down into the sit bones. Bring the arms up and over the head. Circle them all the way back behind you and point your fingertips toward your hips. And then lift your heart again and really extend up. Breathe deeply into the heart space. One more full breath. And then once again, roll off the fingertips, sit tall, and just experience that space. All right, so we're going to come into tabletop position. Hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips, tops of the feet pressing firmly into the floor. And then we're just going to move through the right hip a little bit here. So this is one of the joint exercises from Swami Rama. So you're going to bring the knee in and then out. I always think about it like fire hydrant. And then knee back in and then lengthen back. So we're going to do that relatively quickly. So it's knee to chest, then knee out, then knee back to chest, and extend back. So it's in, out, in, back. And then just keep going like this, so that you're getting some fluidity and flow and flexibility in that joint. And just the stimulation of this activates some of that synovial fluid in the joint to help lubricate it. So we know that areas of the body that have a lot of connective tissue don't get a lot of blood flow. So we really want to allow some flow here into this hip joint. Okay, one more. And then slowly come back to center. If you need a little break from your wrists, sit back on your heels and just for a moment, rotate the wrists. So try to rotate them in the same direction at the same rate. And if you have a dominant hand, sometimes you'll notice that one likes to take over. So get a little more effort into the non-dominant hand. And then switch and go in the other direction. See if you can really link those two up. sometimes trickier than you think. And then just a gentle shake of the wrist. And we'll come into the other side here. So this time it's hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips. Left knee comes into the chest first, then out to the side, then back behind you. So in, out, back, in and back. In, out, in, back, in. And keep going. And again, we want to create that flow, we want to create that rhythm. And just one more. And then once again, sit on your heels. And this time we can just do a little wrist stretch that's different by pointing the fingertips towards your knees, palms come flat, and then you're just going to lean back slightly. You may not even see much movement there, but as you do, more sensation comes into the wrist. And maybe even traveling up the forearm a little bit there. Again, just stretching that out. And then sit back on the heels. Again, just a little stretch, a little shake there for the wrist. And then we're going to come back into tabletop position and do one more. This is more like an undulation for the spine, but it also adds in a little hip stretch, so it's kind of nice to do both. On the inhalation, we're going to lift the heart, lift the sit bones, look up. So we're coming into cow, and then exhale, navel to spine, cat pose. But once you come into this position, swing your hips over to the right, circle all the way around, and then once again, heart lift, sit bones lift, coming back into cow. Exhale the navel to the spine, moving into cat. Now this time take the hips to the left, circle them all the way around, and come back up. Now you can take this at your own pace, so do this with your breath. Sometimes I find that when I circle around, it feels good to let momentum take me. And inhaling, exhaling, and over to the other side. And now keep going at your own pace. Make sure the head and neck stays relaxed as the hips circle, so we're not going to gather or grip in the neck in any way. Moving right, moving left, nice and fluid and flow. And one more to right, one more to left. And then inhale, heart lift, sit bones lift. And exhale, elbows down into the mat. So we're going to give a little break for the wrists there. Wrap your hands around the middle part of the arms. And you can either interlace your fingers and press your forearms down, or you can spread your palms wide with your forearms parallel. Tuck your back toes under, lift the sit bones up and back for dolphin or forearm down dog. So here, we're going to bend one knee and press the other heel down. Just feel that stretch from the Achilles all the way up to the hip. Keep noticing the navel drawing back to the spine for support. And then switch. Bend the other knee and press the other heel down. Deep Ujjayi breathing. Inhale, flowing into exhale, flowing into inhale. Now, feet can be about hip distance apart. Toes are turned in slightly, heels out. Roll the inner thighs in and back, and allow the sit bones to stretch. As you get a little more length through the back of the legs, a little more length through the waist, let the head and neck soften a little further. Keep anchoring down through the forearms, and particularly the hands where the web of the thumb and index meet. Breathe into any areas that feel tight, but continue to flow. Don't hold the breath. Don't have that pause at the top or the bottom of the exhalation and inhalation. One more full breath here. And then knees to floor, sit bones to heels, and just round the upper back. So hands by the heels, embryo, forehead into the floor. Upper back is soft, shoulders round, release the gripping. And just like that water melting over the rock, just feel your body softening here. And then arms come forward again. Come back up into tabletop. We'll only go to down dog briefly, so lift the heart, lift the sit bones, look up. And exhale, tuck the toes, find downward facing dog. So same alignment principles in the legs and feet. Feet about hip distance apart, toes in slightly, heels out. Roll those inner thighs in and back. Let the sit bones spread, tailbone lifts, elongate the waist. Upper shoulders are going to roll away from the ears, hugging the inner elbows toward the midline, and then press firmly through the web of your index and thumb. One more full, complete breath here. Inhalation, exhalation. And then rise onto the balls of your feet. Bend your knees, look at your hands, and step forward to your fingertips. And we're actually going to take those stance wide today. So just have your big toes on the mat, other toes to the outside of the mat. And then fold through the legs. So it's not quite as wide as it would be for foot spreading posture, but here we get a little bit more space because of the positioning of the legs. So it might be easier to soften the chest down. Remember to keep the head and neck relaxed, so provide some traction for the spine. If you'd like, you can take your hands under the back of the legs, and again, this flowing motion, just slide the hands down all the way to the ankles and do it again. Come to the back to the top. And just kind of slide, massage the hands down. Maybe the spine will soften a little further for you. Again, pure breathing. Good, and then we're going to walk our hands toward our right ankle. So right hand behind the heel, about 6 inches, and then left hand grabs the ankle. And you're just going to pull your chest towards that right thigh. It doesn't have to be too much. We're just starting to warm up, so be gentle with yourself. But as the chest comes to the thigh, you might feel a little bit of a deeper stretch. Stay anchored to the outside edge of your left foot. Head and neck is relaxed. Navel continues to soften at the bottom of each exhale. Remember, let your body be soft enough that it can move, not rigid. And then move to the other side and do the same thing. So this time we're walking to the left foot. Left hand goes behind the ankle, about 6 inches, and right hand grabs the ankle. And now hug your chest just a little closer towards your thigh. Breathe deeply here. Keep drawing the navel in and up. Find that support. And with the feet really anchored, the rest of the body is able to flow with the inhalation and exhalation, even if it's subtle. And then come back to center. Now this time we're going to heel toe the feet back into hip distance apart. Bring the hands to the hips. Bend the knees slightly, flatten out the spine, and then come all the way up into standing. If you need to take your time with that, make sure that the blood drains slowly, and then roll the shoulders up and back. Just a little bit there. All right, and then standing mountain pose. Arms by your side, just rest. Okay, so we mentioned flow and this water quality that's associated with the sacral area then being associated with the hips. So we're going to be moving deeper into the hips today, and we're going to start with a sun salutation that's a little bit more intense and a little bit more warming so that we can have the necessary heat to get into those hips a little deeper. So do this at your pace. If it gets to be too much, you can always take breaks in between, and I'll give modifications. We're going to do sun salutation B with modification. Hands together in front of the heart. So inhale, bend the knees, fingertips to the floor, and then inhale, arms reach. So that measures us out. And then exhale, forward fold over the legs. Inhale to monkey pose. Hands on the shin or floor, but flat back. And then exhale, step back to plank position. So for the first round, we'll modify. Bring knees to the floor. Squeeze the elbows tight into your side as you come down. Tops of the feet ground. Pubic bone grounds. Inhale, halfway up for cobra. Exhale, the navel is going to go up and back, taking us back to downward facing dog. So the right leg comes forward to the fingertips. Spin the back foot flat for warrior one. So heel to heel alignment. Inhale as you come up. And here's the modification. As you exhale, we're going to open up into warrior two. So you have to shift the feet so the front heel lines up with the arch of the back foot. Now, inhale to reverse warrior two. Back hand to thigh. Turn and look at that right palm. And then exhale, right forearm to the thigh. Left arm up and over the head. So this is extended side angle. Now, left hand under the shoulder, pivot on the ball of the back foot. Inhale that right arm up. So here's your twist. And then exhale, back to plank position. Bring your knees to the floor. Squeeze your elbows tight. Chaturanga. Inhale into cobra or up dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. We're going to do the other side. So the left foot comes forward to the fingertips. Spin the back foot flat for warrior one. Inhale as you rise. You're at hip distance or hip squared. Now, exhale, open up into warrior two. Shift the feet so front heel lines up with the arch of the back foot. Inhale, reverse warrior two. Back hand to thigh. Turn and look at that left palm. And then exhale, side angle. Left forearm down. Right arm up and over the head. Inhale to twisting lunge. So right hand under the shoulder. Pivot on the ball of the back foot and lift the left arm up for the twist. And then exhale one more time. Plank position. Knees to floor for modification. Chaturanga. Inhale into cobra or upward facing dog. And exhale to downward facing dog. And here we're going to take our 5 full breaths. So if it's too intense on your wrist, you're welcome to come back down to that forearm posture. We want to return as best we can to that smooth, pure breathing. So the physicality of it may cause some jumping, more hiccups to the breath. See if you can continue to relax, smooth those out, and deepen the breath. One more. Now, at the bottom of that exhale, come onto the balls of your feet. Bend your knees, look at your hands, step or lightly hop your feet forward. Inhale into monkey pose, so flat back again. Exhale, forward fold, navel to spine. Fingertips stay down. Inhale, bend the knees, and now bring the arms up for chair. And then exhale, sink just a little deeper. Just go a little deeper into the squat. Opening up those hips more, and then inhale, come all the way up to standing arms reach. And then exhale, hands to heart. So take a moment there. Regulate the breath. So inhale, flow into the exhale, flow into the inhale. All right, let's do it again. Bend the knees, inhale, arms reach. Chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway to monkey pose, flat back. Exhale, step or lightly hop back to plank position. Now this time if you want to leave the knees lifted, chaturanga. Then upward facing dog has the knees lifted. And then exhale, navel up and back, downward facing dog. Right leg forward, warrior one. Inhale as you rise. Now exhale, warrior two, and have that front heel lined up with the arch of the back foot. Inhale, reverse warrior two. Exhale, side angle. Inhale, twisting lunge. And then exhale, plank position. Chaturanga your way. Inhale, cobra or up dog. And exhale to downward facing dog. Left leg forward. Spin the back foot flat for warrior one. Inhale as you rise. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, reverse. And exhale, side angle. Inhale, twisting, so right hand under the shoulder, left arm up, pivot on the ball of the back foot, and then exhale, plank position. One more vinyasa. Plank chaturanga, up dog, down dog at your pace. And exhale to downward facing dog. 5 full breaths, and now really trying to work back towards that smooth breathing. Relax further. One more. And then rise up onto the balls of the feet. Bend the knees, look at the hands, step or lightly hop forward. Inhale halfway to monkey pose, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Bend the knees deeply. Inhale, the arms reach chair. Now just stay for that exhale, go a little deeper. Inhale, rise. Exhale, heart. Take a moment here. Find that the breath is regulated. Feel the warmth coming through the body. Feel the body flowing with the breath rather than with rigidity. Last one. Bend the knees, fingertips to the floor. Inhale, arms reach chair. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway to monkey pose, flat back. And exhale, step or lightly hop back to plank position. So you decide, knees lowered or lifted, chaturanga. Inhale into cobra or upward facing dog. And exhale, navel up and back for down dog. Right leg forward, warrior one. Inhale as you rise. And exhale, warrior two. Inhale, reverse. And exhale, side angle. Inhale, twisting. And exhale, plank position. Chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or up dog. And exhale, down dog, left leg. Warrior one. Inhale. Exhale, warrior two, shift the feet. Inhale, reverse. And exhale, side angle. Inhale, twisting. And exhale, last vinyasa. Five full breaths. Even if the heart is beating quickly, that's good. We want that warmth coming into the body. Try to slow it back down. Navel hugs the back body on exhalation. Last full breath here. And then come onto the balls of your feet, bend your knees, look at your hands, step or lightly hop forward. Inhale, halfway for monkey pose, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, bend the knees, arms reach chair. Stay for that exhale, go deeper. Inhale, lift and rise. Exhale, heart. And now just find, once again, Samastiti, either hands at the heart or down by your side, and just rest. Slow, deep breathing. And again, as soon as you can return to smooth breathing, pure breathing, circular breathing, all the same breath, just slightly different names. But getting back into that flow, that cycle, the stability that's inherent within that rhythm. you'll find that the mind will shift with the breath. Last one. Very nice. All right, so we're going to do a little bit of chair pose here, but a variation to open up the hip. So hands together, hands onto the hips. We're just going to lift the right knee up and then take that foot to mid-thigh. So in mid-thigh, we're going to sink down into chair. And as you sink down into chair, just let the outer hip rotator open up. So I like to imagine I had a weight attached to my knee, and that was gradually just drawing that more and more open. As I sit back, I'm imagining I'm about to sit back in a chair. So I really let the glutes go behind me and the heart comes forward. Try to keep the tension out of the shoulders. Create length in the neck. And still continue to hug the navel toward the back body on exhalation. Now you can either gaze at the floor. If you've got a little more stability, you can gaze at the horizon, whatever's more comfortable for you. Smooth breathing. Good, one more here. And then slowly come back up. Release the foot. Find that Samastiti again, standing mountain pose. Maybe feel some warmth rushing into the area we just moved. And do the other side. So weight into the right foot, left knee lifts, and then take that foot to about mid-thigh. Let the knee open up. Hands to the heart, and now once again we're going to sink back. So again, all those little tricks. First, like you're sitting back in a chair, let the glutes go back. Sometimes when we're tight, that's exactly what we're trying to avoid. Right? But we want to feel that sensation. This helps to open up those rotators just a little bit more. And then breathe through it. Really let the breath be what moves in there. Prana that rides on the breath has that healing capacity. So I think of it going in and like cleaning out. One more here. And then slowly come back up. Find that balance there between the two. Samastiti. So we're going to take a little vinyasa here and moving in and out of forward fold along with squat. And we're going to bring in the chant, but we'll do the vinyasa first. So inhale, the arms reach up. Turn the toes out, heels in, and exhale, come down into squat. Good. Now inhale, press into the feet, come back up. Arms reach overhead, turn the toes back in. And then exhale and forward fold. But really hug the navel towards the spine as you come down. And certainly if you need a bend in your knee, please take it. Now inhale, you're coming all the way back up. Palms touch overhead, turn the toes out, heels in. Exhale into squat. Inhale, press into the feet, come back up. Turn the toes back in. And now exhale, forward fold. Long, flat spine as you come down, navel in. So let's just do one more like that. We'll add in the chant. So remember, it's Om Jalaya Namaha. Toes turn out. Exhale to squat. Inhale, rise. Toes in. Exhale, fold. Okay, so we can only chant on the exhale. So inhale, the arms reach up. Toes out, heels in. Om Jalaya Namaha. Inhale back up. Toes in. Om Jalaya Namaha. Inhale. Toes out. Om Jalaya Namaha. Inhale. Toes in. Om Jalaya Namaha. Toes out. Om Jalaya Namaha. Inhale. Om Jalaya Namaha. Now stay in the forward fold. Deep breathing. And feel that flow of breath. Slightly lift the spine away from the thighs on inhalation. Slightly lower the spine on exhalation. Remember to keep that micro bend in the knee if you need it. Or perhaps more of a bend if your legs are really tight. Good. 2 more here. And then inhale the arms all the way up. And exhale down by your side. And just rest for a moment. Samastiti. You can have your eyes closed or soft gaze. Notice the quality of water, smooth and flowing. But also more of that dense, internal energy. Now hands to your hips, and we're going to take a big step with our right leg back. So we want to have about 4 feet between the heel to the arch of the back foot, and that's going to depend also on the length of your legs. So heel to arch is key. Press firmly to the outside edge of your back foot for anchoring. We're going to inhale the arms long, and now as you exhale, bend into your front knee and move into warrior 2. And then inhale, slowly straighten the front leg and take your time to really squeeze the muscle to the bone. And then do that again. Exhale, warrior 2. Inhale, squeeze the muscle to the bone as you straighten the leg and come up. Do it again. Exhale. Inhale. And now this time we're going to stay. So you're going to exhale, go down into warrior 2. And now you can take that forearm to the thigh like we did before, right arm up and over the head for extended side angle. Or you can bring the hand down to the inside of the foot on the floor or on your block if you need it. Press your arm into your leg, leg into your arm. You can start with the arm straight overhead. This is a little bit easier, especially if you have some tension in the upper back. But if not, you can take the arm over the head for a little bit more extension, a little more lateral. Now, whichever position you're in, you're going to inhale here. Exhale, hug the navel toward the back body and squeeze and rotate a little deeper to the right. Inhale, lengthen, make sure you're not rigid. Exhale, pull the navel in and squeeze a little deeper to your right. So use your breath as you're in the posture. All these little subtle micro movements. Keep going into the hip. As the arm presses into the knee, it keeps it in a safe alignment with the ankle, but go into the groin a little more. Where is there tension? Good, and now exhale the fingertips to the floor and just turn the left toes in. Come into that wide foot spreading posture, and once again, hands to the hips, and now slide them down the legs to the ankle. And repeat that. Hands to the hips, slide down the legs, and to the ankle. And keep going a couple more times. Last one. Now you're going to hold on to the ankle and draw the crown of the head towards the earth as best as possible. You can bend the elbows a little bit there. As the head is drawing down towards the crown of the earth, maybe feeling that stimulation at the crown chakra. Just that opening, that inspiration center. Navel continues to go in and up underneath the rib cage. And one more breath. Now hands to hips. Come halfway up. Just let the blood level out for a minute. And then anchor firmly into the feet, particularly out the outside edges, come the rest of the way up. Now we already have the left foot parallel, so let's just turn the right foot out to save ourselves a little time. The feet are already at the same stance, but if you happen to shorten yours, make sure you get back to about that 4-foot stance. Heel to arch alignment. Now inhale the arms up. Exhale, bend into the front knee and move into warrior two. Inhale, squeeze the muscle to the bone. So you want to feel that deepening of stability. And then exhale, bend into it. Inhale, hug the muscle to the bone. Exhale. Inhale. And now this last time we're going to go into it. And again, you've got those options. So forearm to the thigh, left arm straight or up and over the head. Just make sure that this right shoulder doesn't sink up by your ear. So keep space there. If you want to go down a little deeper into the hips, you can hold the ankle or have the hand down to the floor. Maybe use your block to bring the floor up to you. But the arm presses into the leg, leg presses into the arm. As you anchor to the outside of the back foot, you can keep the arm straight or maybe try taking the arm over the head if it's comfortable. And breathe deeply here. So again, the body from the outside perspective looks rigid, but there's this constant movement with the breath. So allow yourself to be soft enough that you can move on inhalation, exhalation, navel hugs in, rotate deeper to the left. Notice what's going on in the hips. Is there a difference between the right and the left? One more. Go a little deeper into the groin. And now fingertips to the floor again. We're just going to turn those toes in. Come back to the center. Press to the outside edge of the foot. And then again, slide the hands down the back of the leg. Just reminding the body, yeah, we're just doing this for love. We appreciate you. Feeling that flow again. And now this time, you can either continue to hold the ankles. If you can get the crown to the earth, great. If not, just allow it to continue to move in that direction. If you're comfortable, you can take your hands behind you, interlace your fingers, and bring the knuckles up and away from you and just stretch out your shoulders. So pull the shoulder heads away from the ears. Really create the length and space in the neck. Keep allowing that joint to open up, not through force, but through relaxing and letting go. Pay attention to your smooth circular breathing and make sure that it's becoming more and more stable, not more and more inconsistent. And then slowly bring the hands back, this time underneath the shoulders. Just draw the chest halfway up. Left hand goes underneath the face on the floor with palm flat or finger stand. And then inhale the right arm up. So we're actually going to move a little bit in and out of this twist. So we're going to exhale, take the arm under like you're scooping up a big bowl of ice cream. And then inhale, navel to the right, open the arm up again. So we're going to use a little bit of flow here. Exhale, navel hugs in. So you take a big scoop or big bear hug around the body. And then inhale and rotate. We've got two more like this with the chant. So on the exhalation, we're going to chant. And on the inhalation, we're going to open up. So actually, we'll do one more with the chant here. Om Jalaya Namaha. And now we'll switch. Bring the right hand down underneath the face. And inhale the left arm up. And now we can do the chant all 5 times here. So, Om Jalaya Namaha. Now inhale, open that up, feel the space. Om Jalaya Namaha. Inhale, lift the torso higher, straighten the arm. Om Jalaya Namaha. Inhale. Just two more. Om Jalaya Namaha. Inhale. Last one. Om Jalaya Namaha. And release the fingertips down. Heel toe your feet in. Hands to the hips. Scoop the heart. Take your time. Come up. And then heel toe your feet the rest of the way. Arms by your side. Samastiti. Be still. Listen for that flow. Inhale to exhale to inhale. One more breath. All right, so if you have a block, this would be where it may be handy. You could also use the edge of a chair or whatever you have available. Something that's stable though. So we'll come back to the front of the mat and then have the feet hip distance apart. We're going to put the block about 6 to 10 inches in front of the left big toe. A slight diagonal, and then find your standing posture. Inhale, the arms are going to reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Navel to the spine. Now, right leg is going to reach up in the air. You're going to rotate through the hip there. Now, your left hand can either be on the floor or it can be on the block. The right hand is going to go onto the sacrum, onto the hip, and then rotate the navel over to the right and lean the chest back. As you flex the right foot, press out through the heel. Pull those toes back. Anchor firmly through your supporting leg. And if you're comfortable, take your right arm up in the air. Now you can just stay here. This is perfectly fine. Or you can take your gaze to the side wall. Breathing into the posture. Inhale here. Elongate the spine. Exhale, hug the navel in and rotate a little deeper to the right. Keep going, inhaling, exhaling. Elongating through the torso. Take the sternum a little further from the pubic bone. One more breath. And then bring the fingertips to the floor. Bring the right foot down, bending the knee, and then just back and forth. Lift one foot and then the other foot, and just shift back and forth, loosening the hips. And then forward fold with a slightly wider stance than hip distance. Head and neck is relaxed. Good, hands to hips. Scoop the heart as you come all the way back up. Take a moment. Just be there. And then we're going to do the other side. So now you're just going to shift your block over in front of the big toe of the right foot, and then slight angle out to the side. Good, hands to hips to start. Inhale, the arms reach up. And exhale, navel to spine, forward fold. So here, hands going to go on the block or the floor, depending on what you prefer. Any edge of the block is fine too. Forgot to mention that. And then left leg's going to lift up in the air. Rotate that hip open. Bring your left hand onto the hip. So as you anchor down through that supporting leg, you feel maybe some space opening up in that inner groin. And then the left hip can lift and open a little bit more. Back leg is straight. Flex through the heel of the foot. Engage the toes. Left arm can lift up in the air when you feel stable, and you can keep your gaze down at the floor. We'll take it to the horizon when you're ready. And as you're breathing here, keep anchoring down. Feel more and more room and space in the hip. Sternum away from pubic bone. Crown away from heel. Breathing. Tapping into that flow, pure breathing. Think of that water just moving patiently through the rock, through the stone. And then gently bring the hand down, bend the knee, place the left foot down, and bend the right knee. And just kind of go back and forth, shifting in the legs, just shifting in the hips until they feel comfortable enough to relax and forward fold. Slide the hands down the legs again. And release. Inhale halfway to monkey pose, flat back. Exhale, step back to plank position. Bring the knees down or keep them lifted for chaturanga. Inhale into cobra or upward facing dog. And exhale to downward facing dog. Let's stay in down dog for just 3 breaths here. And then bring the knees to the floor and take the sit bones to the heels and just sit tall for a moment, resting your hands comfortably in the lap. So you can have the left hand under the belly, the right hand on top, thumbs touching. That can be the opposite for men. Keep the spine tall, absorb the tailbone into the body and lift the lower belly. Nice, slow, deep breaths here. Making sure to return to pure breathing. All right, so hips are going to come to the right. And we're going to come into this, I sometimes think of it like cheerleader stance. The right foot to the left inner thigh, and then the left foot is behind you, top of the foot is down. Good, so you can feel, especially if you have some tension in your hips, that it's already a little tight. So breathe into that and try your best to anchor this left hip down into the earth. First, we're going to start by rotating our navel to the right and just walk the hands out, bend the elbows wide and let your chest come down. And just breathe here for a few moments. Head and neck is relaxed, let it grow heavy. Again, smooth, pure breathing. And then come back to center. And this time we're going to go down in the front. So bend the elbows out wide. Let the crown of the head come down towards the floor. So bending the elbows out wide helps us to keep the chest a little bit more flat. Again, that reduction of that thoracic curve. And then slowly come up again, and now we'll go to the other side, and this is where it's a little tricky. So navel rotates to the left. Just do the best you can, fingers in a finger stand. And now we're just going to lean slightly over that left leg. So no tension in the knee. If it's too intense for the knee, back off. Breathe deeply here. So we've got sort of a twist as well as a hip opener. And then gently come back to center, and we're going to switch sides. So we'll take the cheerleader stance on this side. Top of the right foot down into the floor. So we want to have that slight internal rotation. And now the left foot to the inner thigh of the right leg. Again, depending on where you hold your tension, try your best to anchor this right hip, even if it doesn't completely sink into the floor. So again, we're going to rotate the navel to the left, and we're just going to walk our hands out, letting our chest soften over the thigh, elbows out wide, head and neck relax. Breathe deeply here. Slowly come up, square to the front, fingers in a finger stand, come down here. Pure breathing. And then to the other side. So again, over to that right, best you can. If it's tight, don't stress the knee joint. So just go to where you feel a nice stretch and then breathe into it. Keep hugging the navel toward the back body on exhalation. And then slowly come up. Release the legs. And we're going to take a wide stance. So Upavishta Konasana, if you want, you can place a block or, a bolster or a blanket underneath your hips. But we want to have a fairly wide stance. You can grab onto the inner thighs if you'd like and manually rotate them in and down. Another way to do it is to have your hands by your hips and scoot your pelvic floor forward so that you get some of that anterior tilt. Fingers in a finger stand, lift the sternum. And so first start by closing the eyes. Again, find that flowing breath, that inhale to exhale to inhale. Nice and even, nice and smooth. And then from that place, start to walk your hands forward. And it doesn't matter how far you go. Best to do is to find that first area of sensation. And then just stop there and breathe. Try to keep the spine long. And remember, we don't want to create rigidity. So on the inhale, there's enough flow. On the exhale, there's enough release. That we're actually moving slightly with the breath. And then if your body starts to soften the sensation, that's permission to go further. So you can maybe walk the hands forward a little more or come onto the forearms. And just really listen to those cues coming from the intelligence within. And maybe go a little further. Maybe you can stack the fists and let the forehead rest, or use your block if you prefer. Keep giving in, so as the sensation increases, make sure that you continue to listen to the body's cues. If you cannot breathe smooth, that pure, even breath, then maybe back off a little bit until the body acclimates. And really trying to show yourself the same patience that water element has as it slowly carves through that stone. It's a persistence and a commitment. And the water element is often associated with the feminine. It's a different kind of power, it's a different kind of energy. So 2 more breaths here, please. And then very slowly walk your hands back and just sit tall for a moment and just let yourself adjust. Hands can scoop underneath the knees, guide the knees back to center. And then bring the soles of the feet together. Once again, scoot your pelvis forward. Hook the index middle thumb around your big toes and now pull forward with the chest. If you have longer arms, you might want to do a full wrap of the hand around the foot. And then just really lengthen as much as you can, even feeling as if you were leaning back slightly into a very subtle back bend. And then those inner thighs are opening up from all of the work and space you've done. Good. So we're going to cross into Sukhasana, but we're going to take this left foot up in the air. And if you can, try to place it in the crease of the right elbow. And the left arm's going to wrap around. I was thinking holding my babies. So just wrap your arm around your leg and just begin to rock back and forth. And this is really nice for the joint. Certainly if it's not possible to keep the foot all the way into the crease of the elbow, you can bring it down more to mid-forearm. But try to keep the heart lifted so the back's not rounding, not flat. And just notice what's in there. Sometimes the hips feel good, and other times the hips are more tight. So here, if you want to keep going, you can stay with that. You can also try to test and bring the foot up to the forehead. See how that flexibility is today. And then you can take this left shin or calf around your left shoulder. Right hand is going to reach to the outside of the foot. And when you bring the left hand down to the floor, it kind of binds the leg to the arm. And then here, we're going to rotate the navel open to the right. So as the navel hugs in and twists to the right, you can open up that right side body just a little bit more and then gaze on the inside of the right arm. And then just breathe here. Nice stretch for the hip, nice lateral extension. And then gently release. Now as we release this foot, we're going to take it to the right knee. And then the right foot's going to slide up a bit so it goes directly underneath the left knee. And the key to this pose, Agni Stambhasana or fire log sometimes they call it, is to stack the calves. So you want to look between your legs and see a triangle without anything in the way. Now fingers in a finger stand. And already if you're tight, and got a little tension here, the knee might be up in the air. So if it's way too tight to get the foot onto the knee, then just slide it down to mid-calf, similar to what we did a minute ago with the forearm. So now fingers in a finger stand, just come forward. Just walking until you find that first area of sensation. So same as we did in Upavishta Konasana, that seated wide angle. Just be patient. And go back into that flowing inhalation, flowing exhalation. And what I find for myself, at least in this posture, is that sometimes I'll release the tension in one hip, but I'll try to grip it in the other hip. So see if you can relax both equally. And let the head and neck continue to soften. The weight of that upper body coming down, deepening the sensation. Find ways to continue to elongate the spine. Crown reaching away from the tailbone. And all this working in the area of the hips, again, we mentioned the water element, but also this stimulates more of the parasympathetic nervous system and the part of our nervous system that helps us to relax, to restore, to rejuvenate. And now slowly come back up and sit tall for just a moment. We're going to do that sequence on the other side. So like we're coming into Sukhasana, except we're going to take the outside of the right foot into the crease of the left elbow. And then try to get that shin as high as you can and wrap the arm around like a baby, like you're holding a baby, and just rock back and forth. So again, just feeling sensation here. And noticing, is one side tighter than the other? Might be able to go a little slower or faster, depending on what your needs are. And then if you want to test it out and kind of see where you're at, maybe try to see if you can get that foot to the forehead. I can feel I'm a little tighter here. I have to bring my head forward to do that, so I have to be extra careful as I go into the next portion, which is to take the leg over the shoulder. Right hand binds it to the floor. Left hand reaches for the outside of the foot. And now you're going to slowly straighten that leg, rotate the navel to the left, and gaze up at the left inner arm. Breathe deeply here. Let the body acclimate. So the first 30 seconds, the body's just getting used to the posture. And then after that, really wanting to create that smooth, pure breathing. And one more here. And then we'll slowly come out. And now this time, this right foot's going to go on the top of the left knee. Left foot is underneath the right knee. And again, stack the calves so that you can look between your legs and see a triangle without anything in the way. So this Agni Stambhasana pose here, fingers in a finger stand, heart is lifted. Close the eyes if it helps, and then walk forward. And again, just being really honest, where is that first area of sensation? And it might not be the same as the other side. And it wants to be seen. As we see it, prana can then go to it. And the healing begins. And just like in the other posture, if the body starts to soften the sensation, now you know you can go a little deeper. Keep giving in. And that smooth breathing, helping to release any of the jumps or inconsistencies in the breath, which are also expressions of the physical, anything that has been congested in the energetic system. Now watch that opposite hip doesn't want to try to grab onto the tension you're trying to release in the right. And then slowly walk your hands back. Just sit tall for a moment. And then we're going to release. So we'll come onto our backs and bend the knees, feet flat. You can just hold on to the shins if you'd like. Just round through the spine, taking the navel toward the back body, and then just slowly come down. Feel that little massage as you come into the earth. And then with that arm wrapped around the leg, just continue to rock a little bit from side to side here. Good, and then hands on top of the knees. So we're just going to inhale the knees away to arm's distance, and then exhale the knees to the chest. So nice and slow here. Inhale away just to arm's distance, and exhale to chest. So stay heavy through the hips as you do this, and really feel that rolling over of the sacral bone. Good, and then we're going to bring the chant back in here for some of the final movements, but I want to explain it first before we do it. So same thing, you're going to move the knees away from you, and then you're going to open the knees out wide so they kind of create half moons and they circle all the way back to the midline. And then you're going to exhale them away again, and inhale, open them up and bring them back to the midline. I got the breath wrong, excuse me. This is a inhale as they move away. That's an exhale as you open them up. So we'll chant during the opening. So inhale away. Om Jalaya Namaha. Inhale away. Om Jalaya Namaha. Inhale away. Om Jalaya Namaha. One more. Om Jalaya Namaha. Now we're going to reverse that, and we're going to go around first, pulling the knees away from you, and then the arms are straight as the knees come to the midline, and then you bring them back down the midline towards your chest. So let's do that one more time together. Knees out wide now, circle away from you, knees come together, and then down the midline towards your chest. And now we'll do the chant a little quieter. Om Jalaya Namaha. Inhale. Om Jalaya Namaha. Inhale. Om Jalaya Namaha. And then just slowly release. Release the legs down. If there's any sensitivity, just take a bolster or blanket and place it underneath the knees so the body feels supported. And if it's a bright room, consider having an eye pillow, and certainly a little cooler today, cooler temperature. Placing a blanket over the body if the room is cooling down. You want your body to cool down slowly. And keep that subtlety that you created here at the end of the practice. The mind, the attention really drawing inward now to inner experience. Again, no effort here to the breath at all. You can let go of that smooth or pure breathing, but you might find that elements of it remain. And make sure that you release any other trying. You actually feel the body becoming one with the earth below. And like that quality of water, just that feeling of flow. So very slowly begin to deepen the breath. And as the breath effortlessly comes back into the body, you can just gently run the thumb across the fingertips. Maybe begin to roll the wrists and the ankles. And then bring yourself into a good morning stretch. So feet away from the arms, extend the whole body. And then bring the knees back into the chest and curl to your right into fetal position for just a moment. If you can, let the arm be under the head as a pillow. Place your left hand deeply into the earth and slowly come back up into seated. If you have a blanket or a bolster, it'd be really helpful to prop the sit bones up a little bit for meditation. And then sit with a tall spine and a relaxed body. Just feel the effects of the practice.